SEAL Rookie asked her age as a joke. Reaper 1 left the entire base in dead silence. So, how old are you, sweetheart? Old enough to pour coffee without spilling it on the real operators? The question cuts through the briefing room like a blade scraping metal, clean and cold and absolutely certain of itself. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Holt delivers it with a grin, arms crossed like he owns not just this base, but the entire Pacific Fleet behind it. His chest ribbons catch the fluorescent light. Bronze Star, Combat Infantryman Badge, 2 Navy commendations arranged in precise rows above his left breast pocket. He stands at full height, 6'2", and his shadow falls across the workstation where the woman is sitting before he even finishes the sentence. 41 Navy SEALs are in this briefing room at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado. 41 men who have cleared houses in Mosul, jumped from C-130s at 30,000 feet, done things in places that don't appear on unclassified maps. Every single one of them is watching. 3 of them are already smirking. Someone in the back row makes a sound that isn't quite a laugh, but isn't not one either. The woman does not look up. She is 31 years old, though you wouldn't know it from anything she chooses to show. Brown hair pulled into a regulation bun, tight enough to pass any inspection. Medium height, compact build, the kind of physical presence that reads as unremarkable until you watch her hands. Right now, her hands are moving across a disassembled M110 sniper rifle laid out on the workstation in front of her. Barrel, bolt carrier, firing pin, recoil spring, and the grip is wrong for a technician. The angle of her wrists, the spacing of her fingers on the components. It's the grip of someone who has assembled this system in the dark, in the rain, with her hands bleeding, and found it faster than the light. No rank insignia on her uniform. A generic visitor lanyard around her neck, a plain black watch on her left wrist that nobody in this room thinks to look at twice. She sets the bolt carrier down. She breathes in. 4 counts. Hold 4. 4 counts out. Hold 4. Then she looks up at Lieutenant Commander Holt with the expression of someone reading a very predictable weather forecast. Older than the question deserves, sir. She returns to the rifle. At the far edge of the room, near the doorway that leads to the corridor overlooking the SEAL training compound, Master Chief Raymond Decker leans against the frame with his arms folded and his pen motionless in his hand. 62 years old. 38 years in naval special warfare, which means he was running ops in places most of the men in this room were learning to read. Deep-set eyes, gray at the temples. The particular stillness of someone who has watched enough situations to know which ones matter before anyone else figures it out. His eyes are on her hands, specifically on the way she seated the firing pin. The angle, the torque, the unconscious efficiency that comes from repetition at a level most operators never reach. His jaw tightens. His pen does not move. The afternoon brings new indignities. By 1400, the story has traveled the way stories travel on a base like this, not through official channels, but through the informal nervous system of group chats and mess hall conversations and the particular species of boredom that makes a joke worth repeating. Old enough to pour coffee without spilling it. The line is getting better with each telling, the way these things do. Someone in the 3rd platoon mess chat added a coffee mug emoji. Someone else added a salute. She eats lunch alone at a table near the east wall of the dining facility. Tray in front of her. Rice, chicken breast, green beans, glass of water. And she listens. Not pretending to listen. Actually listening. The way someone listens when they are building a filing system in real time. Who defers to whom? Where the posturing stops and the real chain of command begins. Which voices get quieter when Commander Holt enters a space. Which ones get louder in his absence. She maps power the way cartographers map coastlines. Patient, methodical, missing nothing. 3 tables away, a petty officer second class named Torres is telling the coffee story to a small audience. He's a good mimic. He does Holt's posture, arms crossed, chest out, chin elevated to the angle of a man who assumes he's being filmed. And then he does the woman's response, lowering his voice to something flat and unreadable. Older than the question deserves, sir. Mild laughter. Not much. Torres doesn't do the next part. The part where the room went a specific kind of quiet that he can't explain. The part where Master Chief Decker's pen stopped moving. Torres doesn't have the vocabulary for those parts yet. She notes which 2 people at Torres's table don't laugh. Notes who is watching from the far table near the window, the one who has been logging her location and movement patterns since 0700. The behavioral surveillance isn't subtle to someone trained to read it. She adds a name to a mental list and keeps eating. She finishes her green beans. Her face is neutral. The kind of neutral that looks like nothing is happening because she decides what's happening. Back at the equipment bay by 1500, she picks up where she left off. Calibration work on the base's fire control systems. Technically the reason she's here, the listed purpose on her access documentation. She works efficiently. No wasted movement. At 1523, the system prompts for a monthly authentication code, and her fingers move across the keypad before the display is finished loading. 9 characters. Under 7 seconds. Master Chief Decker, passing through the equipment bay with a maintenance clipboard, pauses at the door for exactly 4 seconds. Most operators, he knows, take 4 to 5 minutes with that code. The keypad sequence isn't published. It isn't in any standard technical manual. The people who can enter it in under 10 seconds learned it at a school most people on this base don't know exists. He continues down the corridor. The pen has stopped moving again. The 3rd clue comes at 1545, and Decker almost misses it. She is packing her equipment case at the end of the calibration session. A routine process. Tools return to their designated foam cutouts with the same mechanical precision she brought to unpacking them this morning. When a junior officer enters the bay and asks her a question about the mounting bracket specifications, she answers without looking at the technical manual. She answers without hesitating. She gives him the correct torque rating in Newton meters and then the imperial equivalent, unprompted. And then she gives him the secondary specification that the printed manual lists in a footnote most people skip. The junior officer writes it down and leaves. Decker, in the doorway for the 2nd time today, watches him go. The specifications she just quoted are from a version of the technical manual that was updated 18 months ago and is not widely distributed. The primary distribution list for that update goes to exactly 4 operational commands. One of them is not this base. He adds this to the picture he has been building silently all day. The picture is becoming very clear. At 1600, Commander Holt makes it official. He appears in the equipment bay doorway with 2 junior officers behind him, the kind of arrangement that signals this is not a conversation, but a performance. His expression has a new quality now. Not casual amusement, but something with more structural integrity. She becomes aware of him 3 seconds before most people would have, though she doesn't show it. Miss, he glances down at a tablet. Chen, Elaine Chen. Your access credentials need verification. Protocol review. Immediate. He says the words like they're supposed to feel like falling through a floor. She saves her work. She closes her equipment case. She stands. Yes, sir, your documentation lists you as a DoD contractor. Technical Assessment Division. Yes, sir, that's a general schedule classification. Which means you have no operational access. She looks at him. Her breathing is controlled. 4 in. Hold 4. 4 out. Hold 4. I have the access I was assigned, sir. Not anymore. He gives the junior officers a look that means handle this, and turns on his heel with the satisfaction of a man who has just checked a very minor inconvenience off his list. He pauses at the door. He looks back at her one more time, with the particular expression of a man who wants to see whatever he expects to see on her face: anxiety, fear, the specific blankness of someone caught. He sees nothing. The weather forecast. Neutral and already prepared for what comes next. Something flickers across his face, just for a heartbeat. Then it's gone. He leaves. She walks with the 2 junior officers down the corridor and into the security processing wing. Her face is the same neutral weather forecast it has been all day. Her left hand rests at her side. The black watch is still on her wrist. Nobody takes it. The security processing room is 12 feet by 14 feet. Concrete walls, metal bench running along the left side, a window near the ceiling that shows a rectangle of pale California sky. It smells of industrial disinfectant over something older, the particular institutional smell that means this room has held people who needed holding. A camera in the upper right corner. A desk with a monitor showing her temporary access file. She sits on the metal bench. She breathes. 4 in. Hold 4. 4 out. Hold 4. The junior officers take her visitor badge and her equipment credentials. They do not take the watch. They never take the watch. This is the near-fail moment. Anyone watching from the outside would think she's finished. Credentials pulled. Detained. Flagged for security review. A contractor in a room with no rank to protect her, and an antagonist with 4 gold stripes who has just made her disappearance from this base into a career maintenance item. Except games have rules. And she's been playing a different game entirely. She looks at the watch. 14:47. In 23 minutes, she will miss her mandatory check-in signal. A passive encrypted ping from the device on her wrist to a classified routing station at the Naval Special Warfare Command's Intelligence Division in Coronado. The ping is automatic. She does not initiate it. The system sends it on its own every 96 hours when she does not suppress it. And she has not suppressed it, because she has been waiting for exactly this moment. In 71 minutes, the protocols she set in motion 4 days ago will activate automatically. A data package uploaded to a server that requires a response within a defined window. The window closes in 71 minutes. When it closes without a response confirmation from her, the package delivers itself to 3 separate classified inboxes at the rank of Vice Admiral and above. In approximately 90 minutes, Commander Marcus Holt is going to learn the difference between an officer who controls a room and an officer who controls nothing at all. She leans back against the concrete wall. She looks at the rectangle of sky through the high window. Clear, blue, the particular quality of coastal California light in the afternoon. She closes her eyes. She waits. She works through the afternoon on the fire control calibration as if nothing has happened. As if this is just another assignment in another facility that looks at her the way facilities always look at a woman who doesn't announce herself. Her tools are precise. Her notes are in a system notation most operators don't recognize because it's a format used at one specific training program that most operators don't know exists. She writes in it automatically, the way you write in your native language. Not thinking about it, just doing it. By 1545, she has documented 4 additional behavioral patterns in the informal power structure of this base. She knows which warrant officer has been signing off on inventory discrepancies in the Southern Armory for 8 months. She knows which senior NCO is running a side operation that Holt has been ignoring, because ignoring it gives him leverage. She knows that the pattern of deference in this base's informal hierarchy converges on 2 people, Holt and one other she hasn't fully mapped yet. She adds a note. She closes her tablet. She breathes in. 4 counts. Hold 4. 4 counts out. Hold 4. Outside the door of the equipment bay, 2 petty officers pass, and one of them says something she is not supposed to hear. She hears it anyway. The coffee mug emoji has apparently spread to a second group chat. She is apparently now referred to, in the informal vocabulary of this base, as the coffee girl from Building 7. She notes this too. Not for herself. For the file. Master Chief Decker is in the equipment bay going through a different kind of inventory when the door opens, and Petty Officer Torres comes in with a look on his face that Decker recognizes. The look of someone who has just been told something that doesn't fit and doesn't know what to do about it. Master Chief. Torres hesitates. You know that contractor they pulled? Chen? What about her? Henderson ran her credentials through the standard verification database. Clean. DoD contractor. Technical assessment. Classified evaluation contract. Torres pauses. But Henderson pulled her education records to verify the technical assessment background. Did that thing where you check the graduation sequence? Decker puts down his clipboard. He gives Torres the particular attention that means keep going. She graduated from a university. On paper. Except the timing is off. She should have been. The dates don't work. She'd have had to be 3 places at once. Henderson couldn't reconcile it. It looks like a cover identity that someone built very well. Decker is quiet for a moment. He picks his clipboard back up. He sets it back down. What did Commander Holt say when Henderson told him? Torres looks at his boots. Henderson didn't tell Commander Holt yet. He wasn't sure if he should without knowing. Tell Henderson to stop where he is. Decker's voice is the kind of quiet that ends conversations. Don't run the next verification layer. Don't log the discrepancy. Tell him to wait. Torres blinks. Master Chief, do what I said. And Torres? Decker turns to look at him directly, and something in his eyes, 38 years of knowing which situations matter, makes Torres go very still. I'd be very careful about this one. He leaves the equipment bay and walks down the corridor toward the security processing wing. He does not go inside. He stands in the corridor for a moment. Then he goes to his office, and he makes a phone call to a number he has not dialed in 7 years. A number he has kept in a paper address book, because some numbers you don't put in a phone. The call connects on the second ring. He says 3 words. Then, he listens. His face goes through a sequence of changes, something that starts as confirmation, moves through something that might be relief, and arrives somewhere that looks almost like awe. When he ends the call, he sits for a long time at his desk with the paper address book closed in front of him. Outside, the California sun is dropping toward the water. At 15:10, the first vehicles arrive at the main gate. Not standard transport. Command birds. 2 black Suburbans with government plates, followed by a third vehicle. A gray sedan with markings that the gate guard, Petty Officer Reyes, has never seen on a vehicle before, but recognizes from a training slide he saw once at an all-hands security briefing. The markings indicate a classification tier above anything stationed at this base. Reyes makes the call to his supervisor without being told to. At 15:13, Commander Holt is at the duty officer's desk, reviewing the credential discrepancy report that Henderson has just handed him. The one Decker tried to pause, but Holt outranks Decker, and Holt saw the report first. He is reading it with the expression of a man who believes he is about to prove something important about his judgment. The credential anomalies look, to him, like validation. He knew something was wrong with her. He acted on it. He was right. His face is doing the thing it does when he is pleased with himself. At 15:14, the duty officer's phone rings. Holt watches the duty officer's expression change, watches the color drain, watches the phone move away from the duty officer's ear and then stop, suspended in air, as the duty officer appears to forget what to do with it. "What?" Holt says. "There are 4 senior officers at the gate, sir." The duty officer's voice has a new quality. Something careful. Vice Admiral Marsh. Rear Admiral Chin. 2 others I don't have names for yet. They're accompanied by... He stops. "They're accompanied by federal agents, sir. 3 vehicles." The silence has a weight to it. What do they want? The duty officer looks at the phone in his hand. They're asking to see the woman in the security processing room. The first indication she has that the window has closed is the sound of footsteps in the corridor. Not one set. Multiple. The particular acoustic quality of people moving with synchronized purpose. She knows the difference between people walking through a space and people moving toward a destination. Her eyes open. The door opens. A man she doesn't know, young, mid-30s, dark suit, federal agency ID clipped to his breast pocket, looks in and then looks back over his shoulder and says, "She's here." Then he steps aside. She stands. Vice Admiral David Marsh enters first. 64 years old, 4 stars, Naval Special Warfare Commander. Behind him, Rear Admiral Helen Chin, Intelligence Division. Behind her, 2 men in service dress blues, whose names she knows, but who don't need to be introduced because their rank insignia introduces them. And behind them, in the corridor, she can see more. The gate guard and his supervisor. 2 MPs who were not told anything except to be present. And at the far edge of the corridor, almost at the door to the stairwell, Master Chief Raymond Decker. Decker is not watching the admirals. He is watching her. And his expression is the kind you don't see often on a man who has spent 38 years training himself not to show things, open and certain, and something that looks very much like long overdue recognition. She controls her breathing. 4 in. Hold 4. 4 out. Hold 4. Vice Admiral Marsh looks at her for a long moment, then his eyes drop to her left forearm. Her sleeve has ridden up 2 inches during the hours of sitting, not enough to be noticed in ordinary light. But the corridor fluorescents are direct and Marsh is not ordinary. He sees it. The tattoo that runs along the inner forearm, the one she chose to let show through the shift of fabric at exactly this moment. A small, precise emblem. An eagle over a crossed trident and lightning bolt, surrounded by a sequence of symbols that have no meaning to most people in the world, and very specific meaning to the people in this corridor. Above it, inked in the same meticulous hand, 2 letters and a number. R1. The senior officer to Marsh's left goes rigid, not shifting, not adjusting, rigid. The kind of physical freeze that happens when the body receives information the mind hasn't finished processing. His right hand drifts, not intentionally, involuntarily, toward his cover, stops, drops back to his side. Marsh turns to look at him. The officer's jaw is tight. He says 2 words, barely audible, to the man beside him. Reaper 1. The sound detonates through the corridor, not loud. The opposite. A collective intake of breath, actual, audible, from multiple people at once. Petty Officer Reyes, behind the MPs, takes a half-step back. One of the federal agents drops his pen. The plastic clatter on the concrete floor echoes like a gunshot in the sudden absolute stillness. The ack humming through the ceiling vent becomes the loudest sound in the world. A boot scuffs tile. Someone in the back, one of the MPs, lets out a breath so slow it sounds involuntary. Someone whispers it again. Reaper 1. Because every person in this corridor with the right clearance, every person who has been read into the classified operational history of Naval Special Warfare Command in the last decade, knows that call sign. They know it the way soldiers know certain names, the way certain numbers become legend inside classified walls. Reaper 1. The operational designation of the highest confirmed sniper record in DevGru history. 43 confirmed kills across 7 theaters. 4 classified operations that never appeared in any unclassified record. The operator who disappeared into a mission in northern Syria 3 years ago and was listed as Kia in a document that was immediately sealed above the clearance level of everyone who wrote it. Presumed dead. Not dead. Standing in a security processing room at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado in a visitor lanyard, having spent the last 4 hours being called sweetheart by a man who is currently standing in the corridor doorway with his face cycling through surprise and denial, and something that looks very much like genuine fear. Who else is watching this and wondering how many times they missed what was right in front of them? Hit that share button. This is what it looks like when the truth finally arrives. Commander Holt is in the doorway. He has been in the doorway for approximately 45 seconds, arriving just as the corridor filled with admirals and federal agents, and the 2 words that appear to have taken the structural integrity out of his expression. He is looking at the tattoo. He is looking at the woman. His throat moves. Vice Admiral Marsh turns to him. Marsh doesn't say anything for a moment. The silence does the work. Commander Holt. His voice is level. Completely, precisely, devastatingly level. You are looking at Commander, currently operating as Agent Elaine Vasquez, United States Navy. DevGru. Classified Classification Tier 1. Assigned currently to a Federal Joint Task Force investigation. He pauses. The investigation you have been actively disrupting since 0900 this morning. Holt's mouth opens. Nothing comes out. Her credentials, Marsh continues, exist at a classification level above your access rating. The anomalies your team identified in her cover identity exist because cover identities at this tier are constructed to contain anomalies detectable only by personnel conducting active surveillance. He stops. Which means the only person who triggered a security review on her credentials today is the person she has been investigating for 19 days. The corridor has gone completely still. Holt says, I didn't. He stops. I was following protocol. You were performing, she says. Her voice is quiet. It is the first full sentence she has spoken at normal volume since 0900. For an audience of 41 men, you needed to see you diminish something. And in doing so, you confirmed the behavioral pattern we've been documenting for 19 days. She looks at him the way you look at a very predictable weather forecast. The investigation is complete. The federal agent to her left produces a document. She does not look at it. She knows what's in it. Holt looks at the document. His face does the last thing, the cycling through of everything he thought was true this morning, arriving somewhere small and airless. One of the federal agents steps forward. The arrest happens quietly, without drama. No raised voices, no resistance. Holt has enough training to know when a room has inverted past the point of fighting. His hands are cuffed in the corridor of the base he has run for 2 years, and the sound of the mechanism clicking shut is the only sound in a corridor containing 4 admirals, federal agents, MPs, and 1 man in the service dress of a Navy SEAL commander, who is not wearing any of her rank insignia because she decided 3 months ago that not wearing it was more useful than wearing it. Rear Admiral Chin steps forward and looks at her directly. "Anything you need before we transport?" "My equipment case." Bay 4. "Done." She looks at Master Chief Decker. He is standing at the edge of the corridor, and his expression has not changed since she first saw him. The open, certain recognition that means he called the number in the paper address book because something about her hands told him to. He could have said nothing. He could have let the credential review continue. He chose to call. Chose to pause his own junior officer from escalating. Chose, on the basis of the way a woman held a rifle and entered an authentication code, to act on 38 years of knowing which situations matter. She nods once. He nods back. The kind of nod that contains everything. 41 Navy SEALs are standing in the corridor and the training yard beyond it, and the doorways that look into the corridor, because word travels at the speed of something that makes absolutely no sound. 41 men who spent the morning watching a woman be called sweetheart. They are all very quiet now. Vice Admiral Marsh raises his right hand. His salute is slow, deliberate, every degree of the arc given its full weight, the kind of salute that takes longer than most, because it is meant to take longer than most, the kind that says, "I know who you are, I know what you did, and I know that everyone in this corridor is about to know it too." Then Rear Admiral Chin. Then the 2 senior officers whose names haven't been said aloud. 4 salutes in a corridor, hands rising in sequence like something tipping into inevitability. And when the 4th hand comes up, something happens in the training yard beyond the doorway. A sound that starts as a shift in posture and becomes something larger. Something that travels through 40 bodies at once. She doesn't look. She doesn't need to. She knows what 40 men deciding to do something at the same time sounds like. She has heard it before, in briefing rooms before operations, in staging areas before danger, in the particular silence before a group of trained people move together toward something that matters. It sounds like this. She returns the salutes. Once clean, her left sleeve has slipped back down over the tattoo. She picks up the black watch from the evidence tray and puts it back on her wrist. In the corridor, Commander Holt stands with his hands cuffed and his face the face of a man who spent the morning certain about the shape of the world and is now standing in the rubble of that certainty. He does not look at her. He cannot look at her. The kind of man who performs for audiences cannot perform when the audience has left him. The 41 men in the training yard are standing at attention. Not because anyone ordered it, the kind of attention that doesn't come from an order. The Hawaiian sunset paints the sky in shades of amber and deep orange beyond the window of the small office where she sits. 2 weeks later, at Naval Special Warfare Command headquarters. Her equipment case is open on the desk in front of her. Her real credentials, the ones that don't appear in any database accessible to a commander at a base in Coronado, are in the pocket of her uniform, which now has the correct rank insignia on the collar. Her watch reads 1947. Outside, the base is settling into evening, the particular sound of a facility transitioning from operations to maintenance, from action to preparation. The sound of a thing that doesn't end, only pauses. She mocked her rank. He forgot she outranked his corruption. Justice isn't loud, it's patient. She opens the mission brief on her tablet. The Holt operation, 19 days of documented behavioral intelligence, 4 hours of active provocation, 1 arrest, 1 complete evidentiary package delivered to the DOJ, is closed. The data package that delivered itself to 3 classified inboxes when she missed her check-in turned out to carry more than just her status signal. The investigation team had used the same routing to deliver everything they'd built for 3 months. Clean, complete, almost, she scrolls to the last page of the brief. The network map, names, links, evidence ratings for each connection. 31 nodes, 31 names, 30 are circled in green, accounted for, in custody or under active surveillance. The 31st has no circle. No name. A gray silhouette and a set of GPS coordinates from a surveillance image extracted from a satellite pass over Aleppo 11 months ago. Someone standing on a rooftop. Someone who knew where to stand to be outside the angle of 3 different surveillance assets. Someone who knew, which meant someone who had been read in at a level that narrows the field considerably. One of Holt's contacts passed intelligence to someone before the arrest. The chain has 1 link she hasn't placed yet. She saves her notes. She looks at the window. The amber has gone to purple at the edges, the sky doing the thing it does over the Pacific in the last minutes of light, becoming something larger than what it was. Tomorrow brings new ghosts to hunt. Every soldier carries a story that few ever hear. Listen with your heart. Thank you for staying and watching. Subscribe to MVP Stories for more.